Hi, I'm Erik Voss, and this is a breakdown of The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 13, titled Chokepoint. Daryl plays 2-on-2 with knives against Beta, aka Walking Dead Michael Myers. Carol charms some LARPers with a movie date, and Henry finally redeems himself with some sweet moves. I'm gonna break down all the details that you might have missed this episode and how The Walking Dead pulled this all off. And spoiler warning in case you haven't seen the episode yet. And before we begin, thanks to Philo for sponsoring this video. Stick around to learn how you can start watching episodes of The Walking Dead within seconds. And it's a special offer. The first 50 people to sign up using our link will get their first month of Philo for free. Okay, the episode begins by picking up where the last episode ended with an order of importance: Daryl, Connie, Dog, Lydia, and Henry escaping the Whisperer camp. Now, if you listen closely to the last episode's final scene, you might have heard some of the Whisperers referring to the Walkers as Guardians. And we get confirmation of that here when Alpha's second-in-command, Beta, surveys the damage. One of their men is bleeding out, and their exchange here is interesting.
I'm gonna be one of them.
But you will always be one of us. Find his wife. Tell her the change is coming to him.
Weird! The Whisperers are praying folk. Religion isn't really part of the Whisperers' culture in the comics. It's new to the show, and I freaking love it. Most survivors don't want to turn into walkers when they die, and plugging a doomed loved one in the head before they turn is considered the honorable thing to do. But for the Whisperers, it's the opposite. They embrace the whole walker identity, and they invite their eventual transition into the next phase. The change, they call it, probably with a capital C, I would guess, where they can continue to be part of their family, but in a new role as a guardian, a term that, for me, echoes the term guardian angel. So Whisperers don't see walkers as demons like the rest of us do, they see them as angels, which is really interesting. This season has leaned into the horror roots of zombie folklore, and this episode goes even further in that whole cinematic direction. It's titled Chokepoint, from Connie's proposed strategy to winnow down the Whisperers' forces and take them out from the higher ground. Chokepoint is a military tactic in which a larger armed force is forced through a narrow path, essentially stripping away the larger force's numeric advantage and giving the upper hand to the smaller defensive force so that they can fend off the larger force in that bottleneck. Famously, this tactic was used in the Battle of Thermopylae by the Spartan king Leonidas against the much larger Persian army of Xerxes. The Spartans forced the Persians through a narrow pass, allowing the Spartans to hold the line, shredded and in slow motion. Here the Whisperers are the Persians. Their strength is in their numbers, with 5 to 6 of them able to amplify their threat by towing dozens more walkers along with them. And Daryl, of course, is the Leonidas, choke-pointing the Whisperers, forcing them to leave their guardians behind, and in true Leonidas fashion, kicking a dude down a hole. Daryl, Beta, and Connie aren't the only characters struggling within a choke point this episode. The kingdom is preparing for the upcoming fair, and we get this shot of banners for each of the 4 communities. They're all different, with Shiva the tiger living on as a symbol of the kingdom, but notice how the sun shines over each community, perhaps as a way to suggest unity among these 4. But Ezekiel and Carol are being forced into a choke point by a new group, the Highwaymen, whose sign they passed a few episodes back. The Highwaymen demand a toll to use the roads. At first, they speculate that these bandits could be part of Jed's group, the former saviors. But notice Carol's response?
No, it wasn't them.
Saviors don't write letters.
The camera stays on her because, of course, she knows this isn't Jed's group because in episode 6, she torched them. This is kind of Carol's main move. But now, whether it's guilt, or wanting a non-violent path to the fair being successful, or realizing that these guys aren't the serious threats that are worthy of burning alive, Carol proposes a peaceful compromise. The Highwaymen are led by Ozzy, played by Angus Sampson. You might know him from the Insidious movies and Mad Max Fury Road. His look actually seems modeled on country singer Waylon Jennings, who was part of the Highwaymen music group. Like Ezekiel, this group is all about theatricality as well. They dress as cowboys, well, rather post-Civil War Union soldiers who often appear in old Western folklore. They actually might have been Civil War reenactors, and now they're continuing to LARP, which actually gives them a lot in common with Ezekiel, who embraces a similar theatricality, just more medieval times. There was actually a really fun detail in this scene that I'll talk about in a second. First, thanks again to Philo, who sponsored this video, and thanks to their support, we're gonna be able to break down the remaining 3 episodes of The Walking Dead Season 9. Guys, I am officially a cord cutter now. I use only streaming services to get all my content. And Philo has been perfect for me. It has over 50 channels, including all the stuff I watch on AMC, Comedy Central, and it's really the easiest way to watch The Walking Dead. I can start watching within seconds, and there's unlimited recording so I can save as many shows as I want because I watch a lot of stuff I like to dabble. Philo is available on Apple TV, Roku, Android, iOS, Fire TV. It has been simple and affordable for me, only $20 a month for all this content. I've been saving like $100 a month on my cable bill. Peace! For me, it has been the best solution to stay cord-free and commitment-free, and has a special offer just for you guys. The first 50 new Rockstars fans to sign up using our link will get their first month of Philo for free. Get on this. Just visit www.philo.tv/newrockstars. That's philo.tv/newrockstars. Okay, back to this scene with the Highwaymen. If you listen closely when Jerry whispers in Ezekiel's ear, it sounds like Jerry named his sword Excalibur, the legendary sword of King Arthur.
And Jerry would very much like his sword back.
Yeah, Jerry, you make sure to get that scabbard too. The way these highwaymen chivalrously ride up on their horses and they tip their hats, it's all over the top, but only just so. Carol knows that the prospect of seeing a movie is something that these nerds will probably really want. Enough to agree to keep the road safe and free Tara's group from that choke point. Carol also notes that their letter was grammatically correct, a grammatically correct death threat, yo, suggesting that these people must be civilized. The Highwaymen name might also be a literary reference to the famous narrative poem, The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes. It's about a highway bandit and his lover. They both die tragically. It's known for its suspense and repetition. A really good poem to read aloud. I wouldn't be surprised if any of these LARPers had writing in their heads as they swooped in to save Tara. Another interesting detail I found about the Highwaymen is the way they present themselves to Ezekiel, scattered among mannequins. In this sense, they mirror the Whisperers, hiding among a herd, amplifying their numbers, and sowing confusion over which figures are actually human. This whole killer hiding among mannequins trope is something that we've seen before in films. And this kind of creepy suspense imagery is all over this episode. The Daryl versus Beta storyline is a classic slasher film in the style of John Carpenter's Halloween. At the beginning, Lydia debates Daryl over whether they should trap themselves at the top floor of a building, which is a nod to the classic rule in slasher films, never run upstairs. And Beta is a masked killer in the vein of Michael Myers. He's huge, he's terrifying, he Kool-Aid Mans through walls, and seemingly doesn't feel pain, and he's pretty clever. Like, notice how once he realizes Daryl has a crossbow, he later uses a table as a shield when he barges through the door. And I just love the choice to set the sequence within a grid of hanging tarps, perhaps as an homage to the way John Carpenter made flapping sheets terrifying in Halloween. Connie and Daryl defeat these Whisperers by recognizing these tropes. Like, despite her deafness, Connie can see the glare from the Whisperer's flipped knife. A knife glare being a common cinematic trope in horror films, and she knows to duck. And Daryl beats Beta by being a better slasher killer, hiding in Connie's secret stash compartment, sneaking out and springing out on Beta from behind, pushing him down an elevator shaft, unknowingly repeating Beth's big move in season 5. Now, if those other details aren't intentional nods to Halloween, this final shot of the episode definitely is. An overhead shot of the masked killer, seemingly dead from the fall, but no, twist, he's actually alive, and now he wants revenge, because sometimes choke points can squeeze someone just a little too tight. But here's my question for you guys. What movie do you think is gonna be screened at the Kingdoms? Night of the Living Dead, too meta? Mad Max, too post-apocalyptic? Comment down below with your thoughts. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Erik Voss, and subscribe to New Rockstars on YouTube, and follow our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for watching, bye.